That sounds nuts. Ugh. Welcome back to another live, my peoples. Um, I hope everybody that's watching this on this Monday evening is having a great evening. And if you're tuning in later, hope you having a great morning, day, night, evening, whatever time and whatever day that you're tuning into this. Um, Tonight on this live, I'm going to be talking about the way towards life and how it's guarded. And where we first see this at, um, our heart of hearts, for the most part, for majority of people, is tainted and led astray by the world around us. And through the darkness of the world around us, we let in that darkness and it taints our light. And it prohibits us from seeing the way, the true way. And it blinds us to the truth and it forces us to live in a lie about who we are, about what this world is made up of, and also the spiritual essence of everything. And if you find a way, you're going to realize that the way ain't going to be in the opposite direction of outside of you, if that sounds confusing. What's going on? What's going on, Mr. Flopper? But the way towards life is going to be found inside of you. That's the truth. And the way outside of you is going to lead you astray. Yeah, got a couple of people tuning in right now. If we get some likes, we'll have more people tuning in. But I encourage you guys to do the inside work. If you go on the last live in the video that I made, you're gonna find this. The inside work is where the true light of your life is to be found. And anything that's outside of you is not going to be the true work. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Thank you. And I encourage every last one of y'all to find the way. I encourage every last one of y'all to find the path if you guys haven't learned at all. Bro, give me tips to learn English, man. I'm the wrong person to learn English from. But I guess if you keep listening, you're going to get better at learning English. But to start this off, right? Everybody knows like the infamous story in the Garden of Eden, right? Where God pretty much put a curse on all of humanity due to two people's mistakes. That being of Adam and that being of Eve. And then once this happened, they couldn't directly be in paradise anymore. They couldn't be in God's presence, and they got casted out the garden. And then we see that angels was guarding the entrance towards paradise and the way towards life itself. Now, something real deep. Can we see angels with our physical eyes? No, it's impossible. But spirits are real, and you need a different type of lens to see the eternal life of absolutely everything. And the one thing that I do talk on here like about is that, especially as of late, if you never heard the Purpose Served podcast, Go check that out. Um, we are closing in on episode 100, but I talk about the two different lenses to look through life from. And we got our spiritual eyes to see things, and we got our physical eyes to see things. Most people, especially in this day and age, they use their physical eyes. Yes, I'm from the US. Where y'all from, by the way? Where is everybody from? Because I'm seeing somebody has to give English tips. Like, are anybody outside of the United States, Russia? Wow, that's amazing. That is actually amazing. What's going on all the way from Russia? Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate it. But we have to start opening our eyes to see things from a spiritual standpoint rather than looking from with our physical eyes, because by us looking at our physical eyes we overlook a lot of what's really going on, and we also miss out on true insights into what this world is really about and what's really going on. And by us being led astray by people, things, materials, food, all different sort of types of stuff, it taints us from seeing the truth and living the truth and accepting the true light that's to be found within us first and foremost. And that way is heavily guarded. And the craziest thing is, in order for you to find this way, you have to give up what you thought you were. You have to let go of your false sense of identity and accept your true one, the true calling. You have to understand that God is real. And you also have to understand that God's plan and His greatest good for you is better than any good that you could possibly create or think of for yourself. It's way better. And you got to surrender to that and let go of that. And understand that true joy, true peace is to be found on the other side of that. And it's a journey to get there. It is a journey to get there. And you have to realize that a lot of the stuff that's making this way extremely hard to find is the lies that you've been conditioned to believe. The lies that they condition us to believe about what we are, how we feeling, and the nature of what it means to be a human being. Because we're missing that. If you guys really, really take the time out and see where life is sending us, especially in regards to like technology, something I've been talking about, like artificial intelligence, is going to be extremely hard to understand what's real and what's fake. And that's also going to condition people to not understand how to have proper human connection with their neighbor. And it's already starting to like take effect, like right now as we speak. And in a decent amount of places, you can see in a public setting where majority of people, if not everybody, is on their phone. They're looking down at the ground and they're not even paying attention to anything that's going on around them. They're in their own little bubble in their own little universe through this device that I'm speaking to you guys like through, which is insane. And in order to combat that, something that simple, you have to be that observant to the things that's going on within you, first and foremost, instead of trying to be figuring out what's going on in the world. Because if you don't know what you're going through internally, you're not going to really understand clearly what's going on outside of you, like externally. And you have to get to that tree of life that's within you, that's already built inside of you. And if you haven't found that yet, then your purpose in life, you haven't found that. You haven't found who you truly are if you haven't found the life inside of you. And if you think that you found that life outside of you, you've accepted a lie that didn't come from you. And what I'm recognizing, and this is something that I spoke on my previous podcast episode, is this time that we living in right now is giving people a restless spirit. They feel a deep sense of unrest where they can't comfortably function in society nowadays without mentally feeling like they're going crazy, without feeling like depression is driving them, without feeling like anxiety is driving them, and feeling shame and feeling grief from the life that they're living. And they know it's there. They truly know it's there. But when you get around other people, you can like put on a mask and put on a facade that everything is good. Everything is good when it's really not, you know? And unfortunately, a decent amount of people are living like this. And even when you get down to the bottom of asking them, um, what they're really feeling, they'll sit there and straight up lie to you, like lie to your face. They're locked in a virtual reality, unfortunately, and all they care about is subs and likes. That is the absolute truth. That's the truth. That's the truth. And all that's really doing is giving them a dopamine boost, and they artificially are feeling good about themselves for something that's fleeting. That's like taking a hit of like, smoking or drinking. It's temporary. And there's something that I talk about on here all the time, right? Between instant gratification and delayed gratification. And most people that post things and do things is for instant gratification instead of doing it for delayed gratification. And that's the society that we live in nowadays. People need that instant hit. And having patience is starting to be a lost virtue. Um, and that's being lost to the sensation of the passions. And for those of you that don't know what the passions is that it's anything that's connecting you to this world and weighing you down and tying you down to this world where earthly matters. And anything that's pertaining to earthly matters is temporary. And most people try to store that treasure that I've been talking about and bury it in earth. And these are not my original words, to be quite honest. You can find the source of this in the scripture, in the Bible. But the most important thing with that is internalizing these things for yourself and knowing these things to be true. That people are literally dying to satisfy their earthly needs and they can't take it with them in the next life over. And you have something deep down inside of you that's stored in you that's eternal and that's loving and that's good. And it's very, very hard for people to believe that something like that is out there. But on the opposite end, they believe in the most absolute terrible things that could possibly happen because they see it with their physical eyes instead of using those other lenses, the spiritual lens that I was talking about, to see what this world is really about and not the darkness and the lies like towards it all. Because I'm guaranteeing it, I can't like stress this enough that once you do get on the other side of what I'm talking about, instant gratification, you're gonna find the greatest thing of all time. You're gonna have a peace of mind. You're gonna have unconditional love for humanity itself and life itself. You're not gonna wake up and be overcome and be overwhelmed by your emotions. And I tell you what, you guys, if you are being weighed down by your emotions, going back to the passions, that means that you are attached to something earthly and not from a heavenly sense. That's above you, but that's also inside of you. That's where you find it, inside of you. And once you keep seeking and digging deeper and deeper, you're going to be able to overcome the thoughts, and you're going to be able to overcome the emotions. I can't There's another thing I can't stress enough. Like, Don't identify with your thoughts and don't identify with your feelings because they're not you. They're not you. They're just simply things that you attach to. And you have to be able to distinguish yourself from that and be able to observe that. That's so important. It's very, very nice to see that in the States, people have not yet forgotten about spirituality. Wish you all the best. Stay safe. You as well. You as well. All the way from Russia. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, a remnant of people. It's not everybody. Like, I want you guys to know that there's always faith in the world and there's always hope in the world. Like, and love. Faith, hope, and love. But at the heart of the matter, you deeply have to find this stuff inside of you before you're able to emanate it outwards. Like, that's literally the only way. That's literally the only way. Think about it like this. From the moment you entered into this crazy world until you check up out of here, until your expiration date hit, until that, yeah, your expiration date hit, you will be spending the most time with who? Yourself. You're going to be spending the most time with yourself. And figuring out who you are is so important rather than trying to make a name for yourself and heading into a direction that you had no business to be going in the first place. That God didn't even set that in front of you to go down that path. So you're about to be going down a path of extreme hardship, extreme trouble, and your heart is going to be super conflicted. I know this from like firsthand experience of chasing something for so long and pushing so hard to realize at the end of the day it was never for you. Don't avoid that like rude awakening. Because by you facing yourself, like, and I've done that by like being completely honest on where am I going in my life and what am I really trying to do. And only thing that I realized that I was trying to do was trying to impress other people. I was trying to prove other people wrong. It wasn't necessarily about me. It was about what my ego was lying to me about, who I should be in this world and what I should be doing. Instead of facing the light that is a witness to everything in all of creation. And once you get to that point, you're on your way, like truly. You really on your way. And I encourage any and everybody that's tuning into this to find that, to seek that, instead of living the outer darkness. That's not it. That's not it. And unfortunately, in our school systems, our social media feed, we consume other people's ideas, we consume other people's thought patterns, and we consume other people's way of life. And the consumption is so crazy that we think that it's us. We think that somebody else's ideas is our ideas. We think that somebody else's way of life is our way of life and should be our way of life when it shouldn't be. It's getting more and more clear every day that we live in a copy and paste society, a trendy society, that if everybody is seeing that one person doing that thing, they're going to do it. They will be doing that thing, even though they have no clue what they're doing for real and what made them doing in the first place. Why? It's starting to become a question that people are not asking themselves. Why? What is the reason behind all of this? Because it is. If something exists, if something is created, by definition, that means that it has purpose and there's a reason for whatever it is. And our job, knowing that we as human beings exist, is to figure out what our purpose is. And once we figure out what our purpose is, which is an internal thing, then after that, we have an external task of translating that to the outside world once we found it inside of us first and serving life as we know it. to innovate and improve it. And something will happen to you once you get your true purpose and once you get your true calling. It's something that's going to overtake you, and it's going to be something that you feel like you have no choice but to do. You don't have to think about it. It's like something is already done. And all you got to do is just simply walk the path. And it's not going to be easy. It won't be easy. It's probably possibly going to be the most difficult thing that you're going to partake in, but it's going to require you to be authentic. And due to the fact that most likely, whatever it is that you're partaking in, once you've truly found your purpose, you're going to be the first person doing it. There most likely isn't going to be a blueprint behind you waiting for you once you really found that way towards life, because of how narrow the path is. And the path is so narrow that it's only been made for you. It's only been made for you. And isn't that amazing that something eternal has been made only for you and not nobody else, for you to do, to change the world and change yourself while changing the world. That's waiting for you if you haven't found it yet. And going back to the Garden of Eden incident with Adam and Eve, once they got casted out the paradise, they started to make their way through outer darkness. Once, like, they was once in the light, and it was spiritual more than it was physical. They was able to see the physical world, and they accepted darkness and they accepted death that wasn't originally there. And then from generation on to generation, you see that we as people like dove into darkness that much more. To now, we live in a society where it's truly difficult to recognize the light, and even asking, is the light really there? Is there really a such thing as light? Is there really a such thing as absolute good? If there's a such thing as absolute bad, then there has to be a such thing as absolute good. And that's what we should be striving for. We should be striving for the absolute good. We should be striving for truth, because we are in the middle of a battle, and this battle is involving our hearts, and this battle is involving our mind. And truly, truly, when I say this to you guys should be looking at every single human being as not only a reflection of yourself, but humanity as a whole. And by you looking at every single individual like that, that's going to change the way that you treat people. And then after that, you're going to start coming from a place where you're going to try to understand somebody and clearly see where somebody is coming from. And also, you're not going to be emotionally moved by what people think and what they do, to the point where it lowers your state of being and you find yourself attaching to things and people and situations again. And this is something that you have to like discipline yourself to move on every single day. Something that I say, like, to help you out with this, of trying to figure out what that way is towards, like, guarded is the way, is keep in mind, when you first wake up, what is flooding your mind, and what are you trying to do when you first wake up. And the same thing when you going to sleep. What are you trying to do before you go to sleep? And what are you thinking about, and how are you feeling before you go to sleep? And are you restless? Is your spirit and soul in deep unrest when you wake up or when you go to sleep? Because during the day, being around different people is bound to happen, because we as people, we take in the vibe of the world around us, whether we are conscious about that or unconscious about that. But it is what it is. That's typically what happens. And you have to guard yourself around that too. And not be so open to talk to people about what you're going through and your problems and any of that. And just really guard your heart and guard your mind. And make sure that you don't stoop down to somebody level. So say if they're gossiping, if they're talking negatively about their situation or the world and what they're noticing, just question on why they feel like that way, and also question if they soul search. If you feel a need to have that conversation, most people don't want to have that conversation. I realized that the hard way. It makes people like uncomfortable. I understand why. You know, I totally understand why. We're not conditioned to think about stuff like that and operate on that magnitude. Things are being set up for us to not operate like that and to move on to the next thing, the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing, instead of taking our time. And instead of something that I mentioned earlier, being patient. We're living in a very, very impatient time. Things have to happen now. Things have to happen fast. You have to see the results of something instead of faith. And faith requires that you have a knowing that's beyond belief in the unseen of things that hasn't happened yet. So exercising faith is extremely important in regards to serving your purpose and figuring out who you are and what you have to do. That that's something that's not talked about a lot in today's society. And the minute something doesn't work in your favor to start off with, you quit. You tell yourself that it's not meant for you instead of keep going. Because do not let any outside thing move you from who you have to be and where you have to go. So not only is the way towards life inside of you guarded, but also the light coming outside of you is should be guarded as well in the literal same regard. In the same regard. And if you realize how to get past the guarded way towards life, then you will realize that you have found um the kingdom of God, the kingdom of heaven, that I promise you you won't be able to find outside of you. I can't stress that enough. It's impossible. It don't matter what your religion is. It don't matter um what your background is. It simply don't matter. There's one God. There's one way to get to God, and we've been explicitly told of that. And also, there's one body as well. There's not multiple of these things. And once you wake up out of the lies that we've been told and a delusion that's been spewed out to us, you realize that all of this stuff is true. And that's why you should look at everybody as a reflection of you yourself and face the creator that's within you. And then you're going to find the uncreated light that gives light and life to all things in general, in a macrocosm of the universe and a microcosm of the universe and the spirit. And it all matter. Everything matter when it's pertaining to the truth. And if it don't and it's a lie, then it don't matter. Don't be tricked out of your position because of your emotions. Don't be tricked out of your position because of thoughts. And don't be tricked out of your position because of the things that people tell you. Be very, very discerning in that regard. And if you do this and you continue to seek the way every single day, be in a moment every single day, you will realize that life was always within you to begin with. And you fell away from this life and you fell away from this light because you accepted the lies of other people who was also living a lie, and they wasn't living in the truth themselves. If so, they wouldn't guided you in the wrong direction. They would have told you to go inside yourself to seek the truth and live the truth. And that's how you know if somebody's being honest or not. If they tell you to go inside yourself. But if they tell you to follow anything that's outside of like yourself, they're most likely leading you astray. And that is all I got to say to you guys on this Monday evening. I appreciate it. Serve your purpose. Um, Seek God with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your might, with all your soul, and love your neighbor like you love God. And by doing that, you're going to be serving your purpose. You're going to find your purpose. And then after that, you're going to act on it and contribute towards it. Much love to y'all. I'm out of here. Deuces.